still having tea.
Hey everybody, welcome back this week. Thanks to anyone that joined us last week. We have an exciting show for you this week. We have Nikki Hamilton from the Steel Magnolia joining us, and we're going to catch up with Sara about her Daytona trip, and then we have another cool round of Twisted Tea stories to get into in the end, so stick around. Yeah, so welcome back. Welcome back, Sara, from your awesome trip to Daytona. At least that's what I heard. And I'd like to hear more about it if you want to just open up and why'd you go? Let's hear about it. Let's hear about how your weekend was.
Well, I got to tell you, it was a really great trip, but I had a feeling it was going to because of the people I went with. But it was a big decision to bring Alex all by myself. I did that for a few reasons. One, I didn't want to leave you with her all weekend. And two, I didn't want to leave her all weekend. So it was like...
Yeah, I remember we talked about you going away with Alex on your own for the first time, and then now we're post-experience. We talked about it right before you went.
Oh, yeah. It was, it kind of went exactly how I thought it would, and I knew, because you know how she likes to thrive in front of other people. She was having herself a good old time, but the airport was something. So we got to PHL, and, I mean, in hindsight, I guess... I thought it was a better idea to bring the wagon stroller, to bring the extra suitcase. Anyway, there I am standing there trying to check all this stuff in, and I got 2 bags that belong on my back, only one back, and I got the big wagon stroller and 2 rolly bags, one big one and one small one, and I ain't carrying on any
of them.
And the baby.
Let us not forget, who is minus her bag.
And I realized it right away. I'm getting everything out of the stroller, and I'm like, and it was a minute before I realized it, because the woman there at American Airlines was trying to help me tag all my bags, but I got an extra tag that came out, and I'm like, we're already off to a bad start, because I got 3 bags and 4 tags, and I don't even know how to put it on the stroller. So I'm like, I finally called her again. I'm like, will you help me, please? And she's helping me, and she's like, you don't need the 4th one? I'm like, I really don't need it. So I'm getting everything out of the stroller for her, and I'm about to fold it up, and I'm like, oh, I forgot her bag. But I was like talking to myself, and she's like, oh, so you do need 4 tags? I'm like, definitely not, because that bag's in the car. But that bag had the leash, and I don't care if that's taboo. I have no idea about what we are doing about the leash thing. I love it. I was going to put that little girl on a leash the whole way.
And it was cool looking. It was like a dragon, right?
Yeah, it was a dinosaur.
Alligator, dinosaur.
The front flapped up, and there were snacks in there. Her headphones were in there. We made it, though. But she wanted to... I didn't bring the stroller inside at all. We walked the whole way, and we had a layover. So we had to go to North Carolina and wait there and get the flight to Daytona. She walked every single airport and by herself. I would ask to hold her hand, and she'd entertain it for like a second, but then when she didn't want to hold my hand, she'd rip it away. And if I was trying to force it on her, because there's a lot of people going around and she's a tiny child, she started a new thing that we learned this last weekend. So she would rip her hand away, sit down on the floor, and then lay out flat. And the first time she did it, I got her to come up right away. But the second time, she was solid. She laid flat and didn't move until I left her the hell alone for a good amount of time, at least, I don't know, 20 seconds, which was the longest 20 seconds tantrums I've ever had in my whole life. Because here she is, laying flat on the decrepit airport floor, and I'm just like praying that, I don't know what I didn't want her to do. I just didn't want her to be laying on the floor anymore. And, the people are now going like this around us. Oh, they were all very nice about it. And I'm just sitting there like, well, anytime now, Alex, because if I pull you up off that floor, one of these 2 bags that's on my back is going to fall off and probably hit you in the head. And 2, you're not going to come up with me anyway. So I'm just going to have bags falling down my arm and you coming up. It wasn't bad until the moving sidewalk. The moving sidewalk, she wanted to keep going on and on and on, and we had a flight delay, so I was like, whatever, we'll go on it. And she yanked her hand away and sat. And I'm like, oh no, not here, not now. And I thought we were completely alone on the moving sidewalk. So I have both backpacks on my back, but not looped around the other arm. I just have them kind of on this shoulder, and she's on that side of me, and she's sitting. And I keep trying to pull her up, and when I would pull her up, the bags would slide, and she'd go right back down. So I was like, all right, I got to figure something out, because the end's coming up, and I don't really want you sitting when we get to the end. You don't understand, but I do. Let's get you up, right? So I knew that I only had a few seconds to do it, and I couldn't stop and get one arm in the other bag to hold that steady. I'm going to have to do this with both bags just hanging. So I did one of those big adjustment things, and real hard, but I did it all at one swoop. That stood her up and then bent down to pick her up and got her up. And I get off, and this lady comes up behind me. She's like, I am very impressed by all of that. She's like, I didn't know if she was going to stand up. She kept wanting to sit down. And I'm like, oh my God, you were behind me the whole time. We got through it. We did the airport, and she had a great time. We had a great time. Jen Parnell, the whole reason we went down there was JPJ Creations. If you guys tuned in last time, I told you all about it. She had a great time. And the class was great. They did 3 classes, the Misfit Besties, and all 3 went great. I went to the 4 p.m. class and actually made a cup, which I keep forgetting at home. I want to bring it here and epoxy it.
I seen it.
It was a good time.
Exists.
We all rented most of the girls were in a house together, so that was great because Saturday night we all just chilled in the house. It was me, Jessica, Jerry. I'm gonna keep trying to name everyone, but I know I'm gonna forget people's names, and it was a whole bunch of us. Krista from Peachy Olives was there. I keep calling her Peachy. I gotta check with her to make sure that's okay. But anyway, Peachy was there, and she is so sweet and so much fun to hang out with. She brought a friend, CJ, and them 2 together were just great. We were having a great time. We played, what was it? Not Whisper Down the Lane. Is that what we called it? Where you say a sentence, then you say it to someone else, and then they
Whisper Down the Lane.
Yeah, right? We played that, and I think that was probably the highlight of everyone's night.
I haven't played that since I was like 5.
Same. And for a while, it was going messed up by itself, but the girls down at the end were trying to cheat a little bit and trying to make the game a little more interesting, and I could tell they were like, you could see it in their face, they were like, this is still the exact sentence that was started, so then they started changing it. That was a whole thing in itself. What else?
Fun.
Yeah, what else stood out to me? Alex was just having a ball with all these people. She was running in and out of everyone's rooms, bringing me eyelashes, hair ties, cell phones, whatever she could get her little hands on.
Living it up.
Living the life. Eating cookies and donuts like it was going out of style. She's on a sugar hiatus.
Meanwhile, I did nothing.
Oh, I know.
I took that opportunity, and I did absolutely nothing.
Not even the dishes.
Nope, not even the dishes. I mean, I cleaned the living room, I cleaned the kitchen, I mopped the floor.
And cleaned the whole table off because I left that table a hot mess, and I was apologizing for it when I left.
The dishes, but, fuck the dishes. I even sent my laundry out to be done because that's what I do. But that got done too. But that was nice. It was nice to have a little bit of a break, even if it was just a couple days.
You don't get that very often, do you?
No.
Oh, no, I guess.
I mean, even the break was kind of
there.
short-lived. Saturday night, I got your exciting phone call, and of course, with job tasks behind it, I was to create while Sarah's enjoying beautiful Daytona with her friends.
I mean, it was chilly.
Jason's got to create sliders for the creative team members to be ready by the time she lands on Sunday.
Because I messed up. I thought that I thought their glitters were coming out Sunday, and here, embarrassed moment, they're already on my own website come Sunday, and they were on there since Friday.
That's one of Sarah's favorite pastime activities, is divvying up tasks for Jason while she's on vacation.
You know what, though? In all defense of that situation, if I had done it myself, they would not have turned out as good as you made them.
This is nice to hear.
The shaker thing, there's no way that I would have thought about that. And even if I did, I wouldn't have known how to execute that.
I think they came out cool. I think everything's been getting more fun with the graphic design and stuff. Everything is been pretty rad. I'm excited for the Misfit words. I'm excited for the Misfit tour to come our way. I know it's coming to us soon. April's jam-packed, right? We got so many things happening. I know that we got we have so many trips between the two of us. I know I opt out of as many trips as possible because I'm just like a homebody. But we're going to North Carolina for a big car show in April. You're going to, well, we're both going, and Sean, to Creativation, huge craft expo in Ohio,
We kept
Columbus,
talking about me
Ohio.
staying home for that
That's in are you staying home for that
with
now?
Alex.
Oh, Sarah's staying
So
home.
maybe me and you
So
should talk
just
about
Jason
that.
and Sean are going to Columbus, Ohio now.
We'll talk about it.
But Sarah, where else? You have two moms
This upcoming weekend.
this upcoming
Yeah.
next weekend. That's in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Never been to Oklahoma.
I know that the Misfit Makers tour has the Texas stop at Nikki Hamilton's warehouse, who we're going to have on here shortly. And I know you're trying to make it down there. Not sure yet if that's 100, but we're trying to get that going.
Might be able to drop Alex off with my parents, which would be really cool, twofer.
It's like almost perfect having the in-laws living in Texas there.
Things we've never said before.
Is that all of the trips that we have coming up here? I feel like I'm missing some. Oh, in 2 weeks, my cousin's wedding in Florida.
We're going back to Florida.
We're going right back to Florida in 2 weeks. It's crazy. On planes, off planes, on planes, off planes. Actually, Columbus, I'm driving. Like, I have to build our whole set for Creativation. I'm actually excited / stressed / anxious about that. But we have to get that going soon because that's in 7 weeks. 7 weeks. Going to be trailer in Ohio. Going to be fun, though. I think it's going to be a fun experience.
We had fun last time.
I think that's been enough of a little bit of a wrap up for the past week. I know there's other stuff that happened, but, we'll talk about it another time. I'm excited to introduce our first guest. Sara was able to convince her while they were hanging out in Daytona. But if you guys are unfamiliar, she's an entrepreneur. She's a mom boss. She's a Chick-fil-A lover. She's the life of the party. We have Nikki Hamilton, owner of Steel Magnolia and Live by Nikki, to join us.
Hi, Nikki.
Hey, Sara. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming as our first guest. We're very excited.
Welcome.
I'm so nervous, I'm not going to lie. I'm super excited, though.
Woohoo.
There's nothing to be nervous about. We're just chatting.
Yeah, so I want to talk about, let's go back to the good old days, like when we all first started. And I want to know, why tumblers? Out of all the things that could have been back then, what was it about the tumblers?
Well, I had played my hand in shirts and lots of different crafts, but I got into tumblers, and at the time, they were just so rare, right? Like, nobody was doing tumblers. It wasn't a big thing. And it was just like a therapy session, right? Because it takes so long to make a cup that you just have so many hours in the craft room, and then just your creativity and all that stuff. And so I was a stay-at-home mom, and it just filled my time, and I loved making cups.
Why selling them wholesale? How did that start?
Well, at the time, there was really just one tumbler wholesaler, unless you wanted to go to Walmart or Target or wherever. And we were looking, me and my husband were looking for the next adventure. And I came to him like one morning and I was like, we should sell cups. And he was like, you're crazy. I love it. Let's do it.
Yes,
so
Jimmy.
One thing led to another, and I'm selling cups.
I remember you were hustling them before you even had them at your house, right? You were hyping it up. Everyone, Steel Magnolia, come on in.
I remember the beginning.
Yes, my aunt was in kind of getting into the Tumblr stuff, and I was like, you need to post for me because it looks weird if I do it. And so like I had people out there going, oh, you should go check these people out,
I remember doing that with the glitter guy. I felt the same way. I'm like, I don't want to be the one, but also like, how do I tell people that we're here?
Even the name, where'd the name come from?
Well, oh, don't get me started on that. So me and my husband threw out 100 different names. He hated all of them. I said the Steel Magnolia, and he was like, I will never forget, we were sitting at a stop sign, and he's like, that's stupid. And so then the next morning,
sounds like a husband answer.
He's like, the next morning, next morning he's like, I can't stop thinking about it, and I love it, and then we're gonna do it. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It does, it works. And I mean, you've done a lot of cool things with your logo, and it's always adorable.
Thanks. We like to keep it, simplistic and sweet.
Nice. You have some patents. Can you tell us about that? What made you want to get them? What it was like? Was it a hassle? You waited a while, right?
Yeah, so we know
Oh
nothing
yeah,
about the patent life.
patents take a long time. Yeah, so when we first started out, we were just getting generic blanks from overseas. And then it was always kind of my thing I wanted to create my own because coming from a cup making background, like I know what we look for, the straight sides, the easy to, epoxy and wrap and all that other stuff. So I designed up what I wanted. I was actually an engineering major for a long time before I went into the math degree. And so like I had background in designing things like that. So I drew things up and sent them to my supplier. He created molds. He created the samples for me. I, would go back and say, no, change this, fix that, taller, shorter, fatter. And then we perfected it. And then I would take those drawings and I took them to my attorney who had them professionally drawn and drew up all the paperwork. And I mean, it's time, it's money. It's not an easy thing to do. We probably have submitted 30 to 40 patents, and we have 6 approved. We have probably 10 of them that have been denied, or we have to rework them or fix something that they wouldn't approve them for. And then we still have like 10 of them pending. It's like a 2-year process.
How exciting was it for you, the first one? You have 6 approved. So when that first one came in, and had that stamp of approval on it.
Like, it's just like, you just feel so good. Like you've accomplished something that no one else has, right? Because you've gotten a patent. It was your idea and they said, yes, it's original. Like it's so amazing to feel that way.
The cups are fantastic.
I love it. It's so exciting.
Speaking of things that only you have, I'm pretty sure you pulled off something else that's a little hard too. You got TumblerCon trademarked, or was trademarked the right thing you did? And you didn't even think that was going to happen, right?
No. So when I went to my patent attorney for that one, he said, I was like, well, why does Comic-Con get, trademarked? Why can't I? And he said that it took Comic-Con like 20 years to get approved because you can't say what the event is like so general in the title. So like TumblerCon is a Tumblr convention. You can't, it's so hard to trademark that. Yeah, so they told me that I'd have to reapply in like 5 years, and my attorney kept saying every year we're going to apply because maybe we'll find someone who will let it through, and after 3 years someone let it through. So I'm super excited.
That was really cool. I remember you telling me that you didn't think you were going to get it for 10 plus years. And then it wasn't just but weeks later. You were like, I got it. I was like, you got it?
I know. That was so unexpected. I did not expect it to go through that fast. And we really, I think, got lucky, but it's been awesome.
You're going to have to send that agent a little present on their birthday or something.
So one's a trademark and one's a patent. What's like the big difference between the two?
Well, trademark is more of like a name, a word, like a font, something like that. Right. Whereas a patent is something you physically design. So the thing with people don't understand about patents is measurements don't matter. So when I have a patent on the plump, it covers all the sizes of the plump and any other straight-sided cylinder, basically. So there's a lot of people out there who are, not really following the rules. I kind of have the patent over them.
Ooh. Yeah. Better get them.
Maybe one day.
Even that's a process in and of itself, just defending your patents and stuff, right? That's a whole other world of complications.
Well, our biggest reason we wanted patents, one is I wanted to protect what was mine, but 2, I wanted to protect myself from other people who were trying to claim that I did something wrong, right? There's big name companies out there who, want to say everybody's copying them, and I wasn't. So I wanted to protect myself from that, so that they couldn't come after me.
Smart.
I was going to say, anyone watching that was a Tumblr maker in 2019 probably knows who we're talking about now. That was aggressive. That was aggressive back then. Poor Walmart.
It was.
Great come up for me.
It was very aggressive.
Walmart was nuts. You couldn't find tumblers in Walmart for a minute.
Yeah, I mean now trends and everything always shifting. It's crazy the way the Tumblr world goes.
So you're actually stepping away from Steel Magnolia. Well, you're letting Jimmy just run everything, right? Or what's happening?
Yeah, Jimmy and Michael are pretty much taking over.
They do great.
They've kind of been running it for a while.
Yeah.
So I've been very behind the scenes, actually very not behind the scenes. I'm just kind of in the face of it. So being and running the business, it was a full-time job. Like when we started this up, I was working like 21 hours a day because, you know, my suppliers overseas and they wake up when I'm going to bed and they're going to bed when I wake up. Yeah. And so, I mean, I was working 21-hour days and like, it was hard. And then we finally got to a point where I delegated some of my work to Jimmy and Michael and all the other staff. And so like I had more time, but then I had more ideas. And so I started TumblrCon, I started Proper Promos. I'm doing all these things and I have no time at all to do any of them. So I feel like in the process of being a business owner, I've lost my creative side. Like, you know, I mean, the reason I got into Tumblrs was the therapy, the creativeness, the time to myself, the Absolutely. Therapeutic aspect of it. And so I've gotten away from that and I want to get back to it. And so to do so, I kind of had to take a step back from Steel Magnolia and to be able to focus and take the time to create the content and whatever, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's hard to jump back in. Me and Jason have been trying to jump back into crafting since we stopped crafting. Literally, we haven't tried to stop, and it's like, you know how it is. That's why you're doing what you're doing. You can't just say, all right, well, today I'm not going to do the glitter guy stuff. Today I'm just going to craft, so don't come at me with your problems. But here they are at my side with their problems, but they're my problems. So it's like...
Yeah. It's just like a never-ending cycle, it feels like sometimes. But I think we
and that's totally why I had to make the official step back, right? Because I was trying to do both and I was trying to give it, and it just wasn't working. Like where I succeeded in one area, I failed in another, and I couldn't keep up with all of it.
No, it's. I think what you're doing is terrific. I think for what you want your end game to be, I think this is great. What's next? I know we got Live by Nikki, right? That's up and running now. That's officially. I know it's been being a thing, but this is like, hey
and
guys,
Papa's
we're here.
Promos. You even mentioned that a little.
Oh yeah, Papa's Promos
a moment ago too.
Yeah, so like I still have my businesswoman side of me, so I'm still running Papa's Promos, which we're doing vinyls and the shirts, DTFs, banners. I mean, pretty much anything we can print. We're still running that. I'm still designing for that. So like there's customers that come to us and say, hey, I want this to be designed, or I want this, I found it, but I needed to say this or change it, whatever. So I'm still designing for Papa's Promos. But then Live by Nikki's my baby. So we started, I don't know, back in September, we did the Nikki boxes. Mm-hmm. Just because that was my step to get back into crafting, right? I knew I could do one cup a month with the box. And they've been so awesome. Like it comes with almost everything you need to create the cup. And I bring in a lot of different vendors and suppliers to help me with it and showcase them. And then we try to just do not a super complex cup, but not really a basic one either. Like something that everyone could do following along with me. And that's my biggest thing for Live by Nikki is I want to do it live. I want you to be able to follow along step by step and do it all with me. That way, if you have questions or have problems, I'm there and I can answer.
Yes. Yeah, we did the community. Brian wanted to do the Community Makers box. It was fun, but I didn't. It took me. I was like, I'm not the one. It was awkward for me, but I got through it. It was a lot of fun.
It's funny when both of you coming from making cups, like before either of these businesses were a thing, and you'd get orders, I'm sure, for sometimes 10 plus wedding parties, things like that. And now your goal is to make one tumbler a month. Like it's funny how it twists like that. It was like, oh, I have 300 tumblers to get out in the next 20 days. And that's what it was. Then now when you're on the other side of it, it's like, all right, I think I can get one done in 30 days. I think I can get this bad boy done.
What was your cup making? What was your business? Was it like 3 pigs in a cup or something?
It was Little Hams, L-I-L, Little Hams in a cup. Yeah.
I don't know where I got the 3.
Little Hams. So my last name Hamilton, and then like we were always called Ham Bones and whatever. So like my kids are my two hams, like my little hams. So don't ask me how that ever came about, but it did. What's funny is I came up with little hams in a cup before I did cups. And I was like, this has gone full circle.
Yes.
That's awesome. Navigating. So for me, we skipped past some, but like you even mentioned it briefly. So like you did some engineering. You were a math teacher, I believe you said to me at one point. Like, how many hats has Nikki Hamilton worn, and like what are those hats?
Yeah, I didn't even know an engineering thing.
Like I want to hear. Let's start with like I'm sure you started in fast food or something like we all did. Like let's hear the whole Nikki career path.
Let's do it. Because, okay, so here's what's funny. I talk to so many people and they're like, I'm like, oh yeah, I used to work there. Oh yeah, I used to do that. And they're like, of course you did. Like you've done freaking everything. I know. So I started at a pizza joint. So I worked at a pizza joint. I worked at Hollywood Video. I don't know if anyone remembers.
Yeah, I remember Hollywood Video for sure.
Worked at Hollywood Video. I worked at Best Buy. I worked at a sporting goods store. I worked at Ruby Tuesdays. I worked at a gym. I worked at Target. I worked at a dog kennel. I worked at a bar. I worked at a vet clinic. I worked at a daycare. Then I went into teaching. And cup making. And here I am.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's fine. I worked at Ruby Tuesday. I also worked at Best Buy. I share like, honestly, probably half of the rundown that you gave.
I never had any of those kinds of jobs. Like I worked at a grocery store and then I was a dentist office manager. Like it was...
I tried to get a job at Blockbuster,
boring.
but I had knuckle tattoos already by that time. And that was still when, you know, tattoos were no bueno.
Oh my God, what was it, like 20 years ago?
Yeah, literally, probably like 20 years ago. Even my mom's best friend was the manager and I still couldn't get a job. They were like, listen, you might have to wear Band-Aids over your fingers. And I was like, that looks more natural than just letting me have tattoos on my knuckles.
Oh,
here we are. So with even after Live by Nikki and everything, where do you see your future and stuff? Like moving towards influencing? Is that like the kind of path you want to move towards, bringing, I guess, joy back in crafting and allowing that to be the focus instead of the things you're crafting with being the focus, I guess?
Yeah, I think you could say that. Like, I've met a lot of really awesome people in the last couple years, like Sara being one of them. Yeah, well, you too, Jason. Yeah, don't feel bad. Sarah. But me and Sara hang out a little more.
One of us flies down to see Nikki, and the other one is Jason.
Okay, you're right.
Correct. No, I've just met some really awesome people, and I think that in itself will open up opportunities. I think a lot of what the craft world is the networking, like who you know, who you're friends with, like where you can, find your way. And I think I've built a lot of really great relationships at Steel Magnolia that will hopefully carry me on. I know me and Sara have talked about like me teaching more classes and her crazy ideas she has. And I'm so gung-ho about those. But I love being that I was a math teacher. I love teaching. And if you can say crafting and teaching, and I do both of them all in the same sentence, like that is my dream. So I don't know, where my life will end up and where I'm going to retire at, but I see myself in the near future doing the whole influencing and teaching, and that's just where my passion is and where I want to see myself.
I love that. And I think you do great. You vocalize yourself great. You put yourself out there. Whatever your confidence level is, it doesn't matter because you present the most confidence in the world. And I think
definitely always the life of the party, for sure. Definitely, usually the loudest one in the room, at least any of the rooms that I've been in with you.
My bad.
No, we love it. I would never apologize for being you.
Well, Nikki, I know that you are probably very busy today, and I just wanted to thank you for coming on our little podcast.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking the leap of faith, being our first guest.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate you both. With this and everything else you do, you guys are amazing people, and I love surrounding myself with amazing people, and I love y'all.
Yeah, I'm coming in a few weeks to sleep in your barn and on an air mattress.
I know, right? That's going to be real bonding, too.
Oh, we're going to muddle through. It'll be all right. We'll be good.
All right,
I'll be in my house in my nice warm bed. Y'all will be out there in the barn.
Exactly. We'll figure it out. We'll pitch 10 if we got to.
we'll let you get back to your stuff, and we really appreciate you joining us, and we look forward to all the stuff you have coming out in the future.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Nikki.
You. I love Nikki.
That was actually a very good conversation. I think that for a first guest, especially for giving her a synopsis of what we're going to talk about 5 seconds prior to us talking, I think that went quite well.
Yeah, she totally misunderstood when I told her how this was going to go down, but you know what? She made it work in true Nikki fashion, and we weren't kidding about the barn thing. She tried to get Jimmy to agree to go sleep elsewhere for the weekend for Texas for the Misfit Makers, and I'm just to tell you, she said that did not go over well, and I think the bottom line was they're sending the kids away instead.
Where's the barn come in, though?
Because she has a barn, like a she shed. But it can only, she said it only sleeps like 2, but there's like 6 or something that are trying to sleep in there. We're going to figure it out. It's going to be nuts, and I don't know. They'll just tell me where to sleep, and I'll just sleep there. But Jimmy said I'm not leaving my house. Can you imagine? Babe, can you sleep somewhere else so my friends can sleep over?
Yeah, it's a hard no.
Yeah, I think you and Jimmy are going to side on the same one on that one. All right, well.
Let's get into our Twisted Tea files, shall we?
Because I looked them up. And I got them all, and I think they're going to be fun.
Twisted.
So, and you were not privy to any of these stories previous. I'm curious how you were going to react to them. One of them I do know you might like.
I'm ready.
So the first one, headline says, New Zealand police find 3.5 tons of cocaine in the Pacific Ocean. New Zealand police said Wednesday they found more than 3 tons of cocaine floating in a remote part of the Pacific Ocean after it was dropped there by an international drug smuggling syndicate. Did I say that right? Syndicate. Came out all right. While they had yet to make any arrests, police said they had dealt with a financial blow to everyone from the South American producers of the drugs through to the distributors in what was the nation's largest ever drug seizure. New Zealand Police Commissioner Andrew Coaster said that the cocaine had been dropped at a floating transit point in 81 bales before it was intercepted by a Navy ship, which was deployed to the area last week. The ship then made the 6-day trip back to New Zealand, where the drugs were being documented and destroyed. I'm curious how you destroy cocaine. I didn't Google that part.
Send it to LA.
The value of the 3.2 tons, TONNES, is that different than tons?
No, it's still tons.
Because they have both. 3.2 tons or 3.5 tons, whatever that means. Of cocaine was about 500 million New Zealand dollars, which is 316 million in American. And it was likely destined for Australia. Australia, I'm so sorry about the supply chain issues for your cocaine, but it don't look like that's coming.
A ton, so that we both know, is a U.S. measurement, and tones with the 2 ends is metric, so 1,000 kilograms versus 2,240 pounds.
So we just wanted to make everything different with all of our measurements. That's so weird.
We suck with measurements. Go on.
We believe there was enough cocaine to service the Australian market for about 1 year. So now we also know what the Australian market for 1 year of cocaine is, and that would be 3.5 tons. So it's 3.5 tons a year of cocaine that Australia goes through.
Do we have is there like a tier sheet for like cocaine usage per country? Like, where does the U.S. rank? I know our school systems are somewhere in like 15th, but like, where's our coke usage at? Are we like up there?
I don't have that data here, but I can source that for next week if you would like.
Yeah. I need those numbers.
Little chart. All right.
Hit me with another.
So this one you might like. Increasing fine for left lane slow pokes gets quick traction.
That sounds like it was made by you. That sounds like you or the legislature.
Ooh, good word. A bill allowing police to charge a bigger fine for people driving slow in the left lane of interstates and other multi-lane highways is one of the first to be taken up at the South Carolina State House in 2023. A Senate subcommittee Tuesday approved increasing fines from $25 up to $100 and giving most of the increased amount to the State Highway Patrol. The full Senate Transportation Committee is scheduled to take up the bill on Wednesday. Lawmakers passed the so-called slowpoke bill in 2021. Over roughly a year, state troopers wrote nearly 500 tickets. And I'll tell you what, if I was one of those state troopers, I could double that quickly.
I call it the one potato bill. That's what I call those people.
The one potato. It requires drivers in the left lane to move over if a car comes up behind them in the right lane. Oh, and the right lane is clear. That's right. If I'm running up behind you and you're going 5 miles an hour, just move over, please.
You definitely want to move if Sarah's coming up at you. That is aggression at its finest. It's like Gone in 60 Seconds in action, live.
You know what? But, like, I know that I have anxiety
Every
in the car.
day going to work.
Well, you know what I think it is I like to do I don't like to do multiple things. My brain just wants to do multiple things at the same time. And I can only really do one thing in the car. And then when I'm a passenger and I'm on my phone, I get a little car sick. So when I'm a driver, I do singing to try to do two things at once. And I didn't even realize that I was doing that at first. I just noticed that was how it is. And I mean, you don't let me always control the radio.
No, I don't. Because it's usually just Taking Back Sunday on Loopski.
Yeah.
It's a bit much.
No.
It's just about...
I mean, it's not. It's Taking Back Sunday radio, so it's like
at,
all of them.
Baby Shark status.
This is going to go on YouTube. I want you to know that. Taking Back Sunday is going to hear you comparing them to Baby Shark, and I'm going to defend them so hard right now. Guys, he doesn't mean it.
I hope Taking Back Sunday has any reason to listen to my radio show.
They have a big reason. I'm right here. I mean, I'm not that big, but there's a reason. So, that's my story for there. And now the third story is something that I kind of bring up every year because it baffles me, but the whole groundhog thing, right? So when I was Googling bizarre stories...
Punxsutawney Phil? Is that who you're referring to?
So...
My guy?
Well, it's a groundhog, so it's not a guy. So you're a groundhog.
My hog?
Actually, I think... What did they...
They call him the Ground Daddy.
No. I don't think so. One article actually referred to him as a taxidermy species.
What the... Yo, how... You're a taxidermy species, my dude. Bro, I'm upset. Somebody's got to tell Phil. There's people talking shit. No
one tell Phil. His poor little groundhog feelings will be so hurt. He'll never come out again.
I'm upset.
I bet. So...
How dare you?
So I was Googling bizarre stories, and the groundhog thing kept coming up, which didn't really stand out to me as a bizarre story at first, but, I mean, it is kind of bizarre. One... Do you guys all know that there is, I mean, I couldn't find the list this time, but I Googled it in 2014. And in 2014, there was 46 groundhogs that we allow them to predict the weather. You know that? Now I can only find 6 of them, but I bet you there's still a ton.
I thought you were just saying that there was 46 groundhogs left, and I was like, people need to, it is not a taxidermy species. Stop it. Stop stuffing them. There's only 46 left.
So if you guys are not from our area, of course, I'm gonna try real hard. Don't even. Punxsutawney Phil.
I said it, Punxsutawney Phil.
Yeah, but I can't say it.
Use the Philly in our voices. It's Punxsutawney Phil.
If there's an X and there's a whole bunch of letters in here, and my brain looks at that word and it's like, woo! Can't do it. Anyway, Phil. And did you know other people use the name Phil, but not everyone? So as the tradition goes, every year on February 2nd, Phil the groundhog comes out of his hole in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. If he sees his shadow, we'll supposedly get 6 more weeks of winter. If he doesn't see his shadow, winter is over. Seems bizarre, right? And it does. So, how exactly did groundhogs become the go-to animal for predicting the weather? And I'm going to tell you guys that. First, it came up with a little Bill Murray quote, but I really haven't seen the Groundhog movie, so I'm going to skip that. The tradition comes
It's Groundhog Day again.
Yeah. That's the whole title? It's Groundhog Day again?
No, that's pretty much the quote.
It's not the quote. Now I gotta read it. That's not bad for a... You know what? It's words with certain letters. I can't pronounce it even if I know how to pronounce it. Quadrupled.
You just hit that, nailed it first try, no warm up. So
I didn't know that was. I did not know how that was going to come out. That's not how I thought it was going to come out.
Boom.
That's how it works.
Hit it with confidence.
Yeah, Herb.
quadrupled. Nailed it. Go on.
You got to check your mirrors. Just side of your eye. Side of your eye. That's the quote.
Let's move beyond the quote.
Yeah. All right. The tradition comes from Germany, an old religious holiday called Candleman's Day. The Germans paid attention to the badger. Candlemas Day was the midpoint between winter solstice and the spring equinox. If the badger saw its shadow, it meant a second winter was coming. Ironic that we just changed that again, didn't we? So when the practice came to the U.S. in 1887, the groundhog was chosen because badgers aren't native to eastern North America. While it may seem random, there is some logic to turning to the groundhog for weather predictions. I like that they said there is some logic to turning to a groundhog for weather predictions. That's just, that sentence in itself seems a little...
It could have just been like any type of animal that pops out of a hole, though, right?
I don't know, maybe
That's what could have happened. It could have been like Armadillo Day.
Armadillo Day. Which, I mean, then...
Do they
we
live
don't got
in
no
holes,
armadillos in New Jersey, do we?
But Punxsutawney's in Philly, in PA, Pennsylvania.
He's in, like, Western PA, too.
Yeah, that's the sticks. That's what we call that.
Like badgers, groundhogs, also known as woodchucks or whistle pigs, I didn't know that second one,
That is awesome.
are also considered true hibernators. Woohoo! Hibernators. When they emerge from hibernation, it means winter is almost over. In winter months, their body temperature drops 62 degrees. Comparatively, if a human body temperature drops just 4 degrees, it goes into hypothermia. Oh, fun fact. A groundhog's hibernating heartbeat is only 5 beats per minute. In warmer months, its heart beats 80 times per minute. Their breathing slows down in the winter, too. It can go from 16 breaths a minute to about 2 during hibernation. However, the idea that groundhogs are predicting the weather when they come out of hibernation may be a bit of a stretch.
Malarkey.
Yeah, none of this is saying that we should listen to these groundhogs for about this winter thing. Like, none of this. What else did I put on here?
But we will keep on doing it. We'll sell t-shirts and we will predict the weather with groundhogs.
The real reason groundhogs come out of their holes in early February is to look for mates. Mating season is in March, so they wake up a little early to scope out potential partners. Better get early on that one. And then return to their burrow to wait out till winter. Oh, so they come out, check. I'll see you in a few weeks, and then they go back in their hole. Whether the groundhog sees its shadow on February 2nd has more to do with the weather that day. What? That'd be nuts. Than the groundhog itself. After all, Punxsutawney Phil has only been right about 30% of the time. More reasons why we probably should not be taking advice from a taxidermy species. Groundhog's Day announcer. I think that was part of the article, and I'm not supposed to read that part. What? Get it right for a change? So we're probably better off listening to meteorologists or just flipping a coin.
Rad.
Just for a fun fact, over 127, we have 127 recorded times that Phil has predicted the weather, and he has now seen his shadow 107 times. His longest streak of seeing his shadow remains at 31, when he saw it every year from 1903 to 1933. It's a fun fact for you.
Glorious.
I just think it's weird. Like, one, how is a groundhog in Pennsylvania going to tell the people over in California when or when not winter is stopping? Because how do people in mid-California know when it is winter? At all. In Florida, Georgia, parts of North Carolina, most of South Carolina, Texas. How do they know when it's winter? I mean, they knew this year, but...
Probably when the decorations come out on the store shelves.
We're just listening to this darn groundhog for no reason, just trying to sell things, and he's not even a badger, so it's even more reasons why we should have left it in Germany.
Is that all your stories?
There's 3. You don't like them?
There's supposed to be 4.
4?
You shorted me.
Well, the groundhogs one was really long, I feel like. I went thorough with that one.
It was deep. It was a deep cut.
I got one more little snippet.
That was
if you weren't done with me reading.
Groundhog's Day Facts Deep Cut Edition.
Well, like, this whole groundhogs thing has just got me twisted.
I hear it. I know. Now I know for the next week, I'm going to be hit with groundhogs facts like brushing my teeth. Hey, did you hear this about groundhogs? Cooking dinner. Hey, also, the groundhog did this. This was the first time a groundhog, insert fact.
Predicting the arrival of springtime for an entire country, especially one with varied varied regional climate as the United States, isn't easy, the center said. And that, I believe they were saying that to defend the groundhog.
So the groundhog is a scapegoat because no one wants to take the heat for saying like, yo man, winter's over, it's cool. And then like, boom, snowstorm, you'd be like, you liar. And you're a scoundrel, actually.
Isn't the first day of spring?
But instead you can just get mad at a groundhog and then probably stuff it, right? Because that's he's a taxidermy species.
I'm going to be a groundhog activist after this.
With that, I hope that nobody thinks ill of the groundhog like these people do. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys like the way that we're kind of moving things. I think we're kind of making it come together a little bit more each time. Going to try to continue to grow, continue to have cool guests. I can't give you a preview of who's going to be on next week because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't have anybody right now.
I want to talk about some fun glitter stuff next week. I don't know what, but let's talk about some glitter stuff.
All right, glitter stuff. We'll figure out glitter stuff for next week. Don't forget, wherever you're listening to this, make sure that you like, subscribe, follow, whatever it is on that particular platform. And thanks for supporting, and share if you guys like it with anybody else that you think might want to listen.
Support the groundhogs.
All right. See you later.
And when making tea,
let's get back to work.
Bring the pot to the kettle and never bring the kettle to the pot.
Now, pour the tea.